How you doing, brothers and sisters? This is Brother Elihu L. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. Few things on my mind I just want to share with you. One is I wanna clarify a couple of views that I have. Some of them have been misconstrued, and some of them are just simply misunderstood. And I don't want it to be no misconceptions about it, because one particular subject, Africa, is very dear to a lot of people, you know. And basically, my point of view on Africa is this. We black people here in America, the descendants of slaves, I'm not talking about other black immigrants or just simply melanated peoples. I'm talking specifically black descendants of slaves here in America, okay? We do not have the room to dedicate any of our energies, compassions, monies to any African dilemma. Basically, Africa has never throughout history stepped forth to publicly back us on any of our struggles, okay? Not Trayvon Martin, not Ferguson, not the civil rights era, not slavery, which was 400 years long, and Africa kept silent, okay? Africa deployed no aid. They deployed they didn't, consider themselves as allies to us. And we do know that a portion of the West Coast cut deals with the Europeans to make money off of our enslavement. So they benefited off of it. But as far as I'm concerned, Africa and all its countries have never stepped up, to back us on any of our situations or struggles. Africa don't speak of our men in the same, way that we speak of, like Nzinga or Steve Biko or Jomo Kenyatta, you know what I mean, or Patrice Lumumba. They don't do that for us. You know what I'm saying? And Africa is not, what you see on these UNICEF commercials and Doctors Without Borders and all that stuff. That's a small segment of Africa. Most of Africa is very well developed, has an economy, has resources, have a standing military, have weapons, have corporate entities, architecture and development, you know what I mean, behind those corporate entities, as far as like, they have high skyscrapers and things of that nature. They have exports, okay? Now the problem is whether they are in control of these things is their fault, okay? And that's through the mismanagement and corruption, usually of its leaders and the individuals who put them in debt, okay? So, with all that I mentioned that Africa has, okay, because some people come to me and say, well, they ain't in a position to do nothing for us, and that's bullshit. It's just straight bullshit. They have more on the ball than we do here, okay? We have none of the things I mentioned, you know what I mean? We have no land base. We have no resources, okay? We have no weapons, no standing military. Africa is represented on an international scale. Most of its countries have a seat at the United Nations, so they have international recognition from other nations. And see, it is these type of things, man, that you must have in order to be respected, not overlooked, and not treated as a bitch on the world stage, okay? That's why other people from the other side of the planet that don't look like you or even speak your language feel bold enough to come into your community and take it over economically or less within 2 years. Arabs, Hindus, Asians, Hispanics, whites, European immigrants. You know what I mean? They feel comfortable doing these things, but none of those groups I just mentioned will allow you to go into their neighborhood and open up a business and patronize you or support your business or allow it to thrive. They won't do that. Now, what that stems from is this. That stems from mental damage that never has been addressed, understood properly, because like Dr. Claude Anderson says, before you can dismantle something, you first have to know how it got there and how the mechanics of it, work. So then you can reverse engineer the process. Okay. Dr. Umar Johnson calls it post-traumatic slave disorder. Okay. So we still are carrying the mental disabilities that was inflicted upon our, ancestors during slavery, because they just taught it down the line to us. So when I mention things to you like we need to be more focused on developing a standing military, okay, a weapons program, and I'm not talking about handguns and shit. I'm talking about missiles, surface-to-surface missiles, surface-to-air missiles, okay? Developing technology in the area of weapons and warfare and things of that nature, like Martin Marietta, McDonnell Douglas, you know what I mean? Northrop Grumman, these companies who get these military contracts. We need black corporate entities who are producing these type of things and getting government bids for these type contracts. All right. We need also nuclear capability, the ability to have nuclear energy that we are producing, and if need be, it can be converted over making enriched uranium for weapons. You know what I'm saying? But when I mention these type of ideas to you, your social engineering immediately says, you blow me off. This nigga's crazy. This nigga's stupid. Because you've been programmed to not accept or think above the glass ceiling that your thinking is restricted to. You cannot step outside of your boundaries and box or the fence that's been placed upon you. You know what I mean? Because everything that I just mentioned, all the other races have. India has a nuclear program. India has nuclear weapons. Okay? Asia, both Japan, Korea, China, all have weapons programs, a standing military, corporate entities, and all those things. Okay? Mexico don't have nuclear weapons, I don't think, but they have nuclear capability in the form of energy. All right. And once you have that, you can make the crossover. You know what I mean? Hispanics have made serious strides, man. And listen, this is the crazy part about the shit. None of the countries that I mentioned, Asia, even the Arabs and the Hispanics, the moves they've made as far as like being recognized on the world stage, basically they did it in the last 50 years. Okay, with the Arab world, it was pretty much done around the 50s with King Saud and the House of Saud. When the Middle East region first struck oil, when Saudi Arabia first struck oil and were afraid. That's why they start to form allies with the United States government. That's why King Saud and Saudi Arabia are so tight with the United States and Israel. Because in exchange for cheap oil, Israel and the United States gave them backing as far as ally and military backing. Because they were afraid that motherfuckers, their neighbors, was going to come in and take their shit. Okay? King Saud, that's how Arabia became Saudi Arabia, from the House of Saud. Okay, King Saud, a punk bitch. All right? Same thing you had with Khomeini, with Ayatollah Khomeini and Sadat and shit. Sadat was the United States bitch boy, and Khomeini wanted them to be sovereign and independent. You know what I mean? So that's how you get to that type of shit, man. You know what I mean? Weak motherfuckers cutting deals with the beast. Okay, Africa is in debt because of what? Cutting deals with the beast. And also, Africa don't want us. You need to understand that first and foremost also. They don't want you. They don't want me. They only want your dollars. Okay? Don't think because Africa imitates the things that you do, because shit, the whole world imitate what you do. If you rap, the world rapping. If you break dancing, the world break dancing. You know what I mean? If you twerking, the goddamn world twerking. You are the salt of the earth, the Bible saying. Without you, the earth has no flavor. So, you know, when I speak about Africa, I tell people all the time, man, you want to free Africa, first free yourself, because Africa going to do what the fuck you do. You know what I mean? If you fight, Africa going to fight. You know what I mean? It's just that simple, man. For real, for real. Look at the African TV shows and the African networks and movies and shit. They all are emulations of hood movies here in the States. Same shit, man. Just different culture performing the same bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're constantly imitated and all that, but we're not respected by no race, man. We're not. We chose to be second-class citizens, and that meant we stayed in slavery. We were never freed, okay? Do not mistake integration with freedom or independence, okay? Integrating is not free. You're still a slave. We're still slaves, okay? All we asked was the right to go where he goes, swim at the beaches he swim at, eat where he eats, and this type of thing. But we never, ever got emancipated, okay? Because to be emancipated, it would have been something like this. They gave us the land, you remember, because at one time they actually entertained the thought of giving us land, you know, the 40-acre piece. You know what I'm saying? So we'd have had some land, okay, which would have allowed us some sovereignty, okay? And then from there, we could have then developed a currency and all the other things, the agriculture program for export and for our survival. You know what I mean? So, you know, this is why I have my opinions on Africa. Africa don't give a fuck about us. You see how they are when they're here. You see how they are when they're here. They think they better than most niggas. You know what I mean? They've already displaced you. They displaced you and did the same shit that the Asians do in your community, that the fucking Arabs do, the Hindus do. Them Nigerians came and did the same type shit, man. Took your jobs and all that shit. And you know, gave you their ass to kiss, man, because you're not respected. You know what I mean? The world cannot understand that, man, you niggas were the direct slaves of white folks for 400 years. So if the white man was the leader of the world, then you niggas were supposed to be number two. Because like I said, these other countries and nations and shit only made their move within the last 50 years. China and Asia, they really only made their move again since the 50s. The 50s was the marking point for other races to really get into the game of racism. Racism is not prejudice or discrimination. That's a blind that's been taught to niggas. All right. Racism is competition. It's a compound word of race, which is competition, and ism, that which is. So racism is competition. Racism is a group practice. OK, it's a group relationship between groups of people for ownership, power, resources, and control. So these other groups understand what racism is, and they are competing for ownership, power, resources, and control. OK, you do not compete. Okay, you're still a slave. Okay, and the white man has changed his mind as far as our ass. He say we are innate. We don't possess the ability to govern ourselves. We're useless eaters. We're now a burden as opposed to an asset, because he's found another cheap source of labor, the Hispanic. Okay, so at one time he had a use for you, and the only use he has for you now is the prison industrial complex, because he's figured out the way to make money off your incarceration. Okay, but when this economy collapses, that will no longer be on the table to keep your ass alive. Okay, and he will do one or two things or both. He will put your ass back in slavery. Okay, or he will straight up exterminate you, or do both. Okay, because they still have a new frontier that they call Mars. All right, and they are building colonies on Mars. Okay, the shit that they discuss right now, they're already 50 years ahead of that shit. These things already exist, but you just don't know it because they ain't, draw parted the curtain for you to see it. You know what I mean? So it's still behind the curtain type shit. So on these colonies, especially these space colonies, they're going to need mining operations, because the first thing he wants and going to look for is gold. Okay? That's what he's going to look for. And to mine gold, you need laborers. Ask them motherfuckers in South Africa. You understand what I'm saying? They still dying from gold and diamond mines and shit, killing the fuck out their ass. And that's slavery, man. If I gave you a wage that's so small that all it does is allow you to eat, and then you have to go back to work the next day, that's considered a slave wage, okay? You're still a slave. I still own you. You're still dependent on my generosity to keep your ass alive. Okay? Simple as that, man. It's as simple as that shit. All right? So, when I tell you that this cracker will put your ass back in slavery again, your fucked up mind, your social engineer mind will blow me off again. Like, oh, he crazy. This nigga is zapped out. You know what I mean? All right, nigga. Okay, nigga. Okay. And it's coming soon, man, because like I said, and like Dr. Klein said, the Hispanic has displaced us from the number 2 competitive workforce to the number 3. And he said within 5 years, the Asians will knock us from number 3 to number 4. And at that point, anything we need, we will have to go through the bottom 2 groups to get. And they're going to tell you, nigga, if you can't compete, tough. Okay, so that's when shit gonna get real funky. And the whites have already chosen and announced their move with the Hispanic as their new nigga. Okay, that's what letting that nigga off with the Trayvon Martin piece. That was a public display and an announcement that a rite of passage has occurred, and that the Hispanic is now our boy. And now whites don't even address your concerns. They don't even give an ear to what the fuck you think, want, or believe, okay, or need, all right? They don't even hear that shit no more, all right? Now they are employing plans to get your ass out their fucking way. Because like I said, you're a burden, and as the economy gets tougher and tougher and tougher, they're going to get tougher and tougher and tougher on niggas. Know that shit. So you need to cut that partying and bullshitting out, start studying and listening to the motherfuckers. And I'm going to say it because I never used to think this way, but you need to start listening to motherfuckers like me. Straight up. And you need to learn the shit from the teachers out there that's really teaching the shit so that you can understand it and be able to teach it to your brother, man. Because until this type of thinking begins to go viral of sorts, in the minds of black people here, you know what I mean? We won't be able to change the way we see, think, and behave, man. Because a real serious revolution, which means a complete change, all right, needs to take place in the way we see, think, and behave, man. If not, we're going to perish and die. We will not be able to sustain another 100 years. I guarantee that shit. In the next 20 years, it's going to get tough. And when Obama leaves, the next motherfucker that comes in here is going to show you no motherfucking love, no mercy or nothing. Because like Umar Johnson said, when you had a black president, you allowed that motherfucker to ignore you for 8 goddamn years. And you never once held them accountable for nothing. So now when a white motherfucking president get in there and you start whining and complaining, he gonna tell you, get the fuck out my face, nigga. Get the fuck out my face, nigga. You had a nigga president and you never held him accountable for shit. But that's because, again, more to your social engineering and mind conditioning. You don't even think in those terms. Okay? You don't even know how to vote. When you vote, you invite a candidate and you ask and you introduce your agenda, your plan, your direction you want to go, and you ask them, are you willing to back our direction and agenda in exchange for our votes and our dollars? Okay? That's how you pick a candidate. All right? You buy them. You don't just vote for a motherfucker because he's black. Okay? And you don't just be a goddamn Democrat because your mama and grandparents went. Half you niggas don't even know why you a Democrat. Half you niggas don't even know Republicans have passed more legislation in favor of black people advancement than Democrats. You know what I mean? So most niggas, you don't even have a justifiable reason or cause for being a Democrat other than, my parents was. You know what I mean? And that type of thinking has to go, man. It's straight up buffoonery. You know what I mean? It's that old step and fetch. Oh, I don't know, boss. I was just a non-thinking nigga. I just a worker, boss, a labor. I don't think. You know, that shit got to cease, man. And they keeping you dumb.